Hello everyone, this is Ponder Weather coming at you with another video. In this update, we're going to be talking about our next upcoming winter storm from Friday all the way through Sunday evening. So before I do get started, if you do like weather-related content, please subscribe to my channel as I will upload daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. And I do ask you to share this video with your friends and family on social media. All right, so let's kind of get started. Here is the latest 500 millibar. This kind of shows you the bigger picture, what's going to happen this week. We've got a developing ridge. This is as of Wednesday, December the 9th, over the central U.S., pumping that very warm air. We could be seeing almost near record high temperatures in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So a good 10, 15, almost 20 degrees above average. But we have this developing trough, this area of this kind of a cutoff low, essentially off the coast of California. And that is going to be our next upcoming winter storm that's going to be going over the area from Friday through Sunday evening. So what's going to happen is if we take it through tomorrow, it's kind of waiting on this other low. So this developing cutoff low is going to be essentially merging with this other low coming off the northwest. And as these things, as these two kind of merge, it will take advantage of this very active subtropical jet that is still very active, and that will basically kind of feed these storms and drag down some of that colder air and then produce the snow later on into Friday, into the weekend. So as we take a look at on Friday, you can kind of see as those two systems essentially kind of merge together, we've got rain breaking out on the south side over Texas, but over the top, we do see that snow start to break out over Wyoming, getting into much of Colorado. So I do expect some pretty heavier accumulations, especially in the mountains. I think Denver will be picking up several inches of snow by then. And so as this developing low starts to really kind of get its act together, and as these kind of merge together, this will bring down the colder air, getting into Friday evening. We've got rain on the south side into Arkansas, getting into Missouri, but we kind of see that transition zone where the storm track is essentially going to be from the Panhandle through Kansas, through Nebraska, and into Iowa. And we see the snow breaking out on the northwest side of it into Wyoming, as well as more snow for Colorado. Now the snow is getting into southern Nebraska and northern Kansas, and that low will kind of make a transition from rain to a snow mix in southern Iowa. And then we're starting to see that transition into from that rain to a snow mix getting into Chicago and places of southern Wisconsin by then, coming up on Friday evening. But as this low essentially shifts northeast, again, it will drag down that colder air. It'll tighten up the isobars. And where that kind of the demarcation line, there's going to be kind of a thinner line of a heavier swath where you see these darker blues. I do see where they get trapped in that baroclinic zone. Some of these heavier snow amounts could set up essentially southern Iowa, northern extreme northern parts of Missouri, but especially getting into southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. It seems to be the kind of the heavier swaths as these two systems kind of merge later on, getting into the early stages of this weekend. And this will essentially keep pushing northeast with rain on the south side for much of Alabama, Georgia, getting into Mississippi, into Kentucky, as well as Tennessee. And on the south side, much of central to southern Illinois to Indiana to Ohio will also be experiencing that rain on the south side. But on the north, that's where that snow is going to break out. And we see essentially a little bit of another push of colder air, as we'll show you the teleconnections here in a minute. Another push, a little bit colder air, is pushing the jet stream a little bit further south. And that colder air will kind of drag down and start getting into some of the Texas panhandle by Saturday evening. But that will also drag down the snow line as well. So now the snow line gets into northern parts of Kansas, and now we're getting into northern parts of Missouri as well. And I think more all snow will go over to all snow in places like Chicago and northern parts of Illinois. And then now we're getting into Michigan, where we see those heavier snow amounts start to accumulate, especially as we get into Saturday evening. But as we get later on in the Saturday evening, that colder air still extends a little bit further south. And now we could get a snow start to fly in the Texas Panhandle, where they're going to start experiencing those freezing temperatures as that kind of a colder push. It keeps extending a little bit further south, pushing the snow line further south, getting into the Texas Panhandle, taking more, covering more of Kansas by then, and getting into a little bit central part of Missouri as well. And this will keep extending on the northeast side into Michigan. And now we're getting into parts of Canada, and especially southeastern parts of Canada will start getting to the action of the all snow event, as you kind of see that, again, change over from rain to snow later on Saturday evening, especially as we get into Sunday. But you saw that little bit colder push at the end. I mean, here's your teleconnections of the EPO, which is your Eastern Pacific Oscillation, as well as the Arctic Oscillation. The Arctic Oscillation has actually been negative almost all month so far, and it actually going to continue to be negative as we get later on in the December. But I wanted to kind of draw your attention of this little buckle into the EPO. And what's happening is around the 11th through the 13th, we're seeing this buckle on top of the negative AO, as well as the NAO is also negative. And that is helping to extend the colder air to push further south and getting into as well as Texas. And it also took advantage of the very active subtropical jet. And so there's a several-day window where that colder air does extend, and it aligns with the other oscillations of the AO as well as the NAO. And so we saw that colder push start to push further down into Texas by then, but it does swing back northward by the middle of the month and goes back positive. But that keeps the cold air trapped, at least for a short term, into the south, as well as pushing into the southeast. So by the 13th, you can see a lot of that cold air gets trapped and gets pulled, combining with that active subtropical low into Texas. So where you're going to be seeing, 75, almost 80 degrees in chunks of Texas today, you're going to be struggling to get out of the 40s on Sunday, as this colder air meets up with this cutoff low and gets trapped underneath, and you got snow on the north side but rain on the south. And as this kind of clears out, we'll be experiencing 10, 15, almost 20 degrees below average temperatures coming up for you guys on Sunday afternoon. But as we get into Sunday night, into later on, early overnight on Monday, we can kind of see our snow event. By then, we'll start kind of winding down as it'll be over the northeast. By then, getting into New England, extreme parts of Maine, and especially getting its act together over southeastern Canada. By then, dumping those heavier snow amounts. But if we look at those temperatures by Tuesday, you can kind of see as the EPO kind of lifts further back out of the negative stage into the more neutral and getting back into the positive, we can see the air really start to modify and return warm again. But this colder air kind of gets trapped to the south. So you still will experiencing, as this low shifts eastward, extending the period Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, that colder air will get trapped into the southeast, and you will remain colder as the central part of the U.S. starts to modify. So as we take a look at the latest Euro model of the snow event that's coming up on Friday through Sunday night, you can see where the snow is going to be flying from the northwest, as this this other low gets trapped, and as this cutoff low kind of meets, we see that snow breaking out of the northwest dumping some of those heavier snow amounts, getting into Colorado, where I do expect anywhere from 3 to 6 inches, possibly accumulating over that time into the Denver area, heavier amounts into the mountain regions. But we could see a 3 to 4 inch swath in Wyoming, and especially as this will move through southern Nebraska into northern Kansas, and then really pick up some heavier snow amounts as these two lows kind of merge together, getting into Saturday night, especially into Sunday, where we see southern parts of Wisconsin, getting into northern parts of Illinois, and then extending into heavier snow amounts into Michigan as well, and then getting into southeastern Canada, and where the European model actually puts a little bit of snow a little bit further south into the Texas Panhandle. But let me show you a little different other look. I got 4 of them for you. I've got the GFS as well as the Canadian and the Icon model. So here's the GFS. It's a little bit not quite as bullish. It has the track a tad bit further north, but it still extends the colder air getting into the Texas Panhandle, and that track is essentially the same storm track, but maybe not quite as bullish as the European model and the snow totals, then they do agree with the snow totals in the Michigan, especially into southeastern Canada. And here's the latest Canadian model. It has the snow extending a little bit further south into the Texas Panhandle. The track is essentially kind of the same through the central part of the U.S., getting into the Midwest, and really picking up the heavier snow amounts in southeastern Canada. And then the Icon model, which I like this model pretty good as well. It goes out about 180 hours. So this puts you from Friday night through Sunday. It also drags the snow down into the Texas Panhandle, getting into a little bit further south into as it sees a little bit colder air kind of hanging around, and it gets trapped, and it could still make that kind of transition from the rain to snow mix a little bit further south than what the other models are trying to imply. But it still has the active storm track essentially kind of over the same place, and the heavier snow amount. So we're starting to see a model congruency, and especially into southern Iowa, getting into northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, by then getting into Michigan, where you would be getting into those heavier snow amounts, and some of these amounts could be upwards to 8 to 10 inches, especially into Michigan as well. And especially as you get into southeastern Canada, you could be picking up some 10-inch plus totals in that part of the country. So I appreciate you guys watching the latest update. Please like this video. Definitely leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.